imperative to close the information gap to access much-needed information. Some interventions from government to have Wi-Fi available, especially in distressed areas where libraries are not particularly well functioning. That had been a huge support as well. But just the cost breakdown, if you missed it, in comparing the mobile networks with each other, Cell C 1 gigabyte is at 149. Vodacom and MTN, or Vodacom and Cell C rather the same. MTN is at 160 and Telkom at 99 Rand. And we're joined by our esteemed panelists, Eddie Bafours, founder of Sir Brainy Holdings. And he's busy getting lost in the studio. Thibaut Touch, founder of Datamustfall campaign. And Sipho Ngwenya is IT engineer, Internet Solutions. Gentlemen, thanks so much for your time. Let's just start with you, Touch Central. Touch, why the necessity for this campaign?
This is 2016. If you're a young person with ambition or you're in school today, there's things that, based on today and modern life, you can access lectures, you can access information. There are textbooks available online. While there's still an outcry of fees being expensive, you still pay for textbooks that can be accessed. You still have to communicate with people in campus. It can be more effective if there was some form of a communication platform that enabled young people and students to communicate more cost effectively. It's sad, and for when you look at the life of a student, I hire young people at Touch Central, and I picked up some of their conversations. Their lives are different from you and I. You know, a gig is everything. Is a cup of coffee for you. Yeah. They have transport costs to get to school. They have textbooks. There's a lifestyle element, peer pressure on campus, and then there's still the need for them to still communicate effectively amongst each other. You can't absorb information in the space of one lecture. There's no facilities to email your lecture if you didn't get the subject correct, and come exams you found yourself failing simply because you were not as privileged as someone who goes home and there's Wi-Fi in the house in Sandton or in Constantia or in Umhlanga.
Yeah. So and Eddie, do you also concur that Wi-Fi, or rather data, has become an enabler, access to life and the world, and being able to see opportunities? I mean, the world has moved in how people apply for work. For example, you attach your CV, etc. So if you don't have data, you then miss out on those opportunities.
So I totally agree with what Mr. Touch just alluded to now. I'm with the opinion that I think data, especially for education in Africa, which we still got a long way to go. These service providers, like for instance in countries like in Ghana, has got the fastest but the cheapest, and you can actually go to the internet right now and actually find it. I was very shocked when I actually first realized that in South Africa, people are paying almost 4 Rand per megabyte, compared to less than 50 cents per megabyte. That people pay in other parts of Africa. And you can actually compare it to just next door Zimbabwe are paying less than South Africans are paying.
Where is the logic if MTN's head offices are 5 kilometers away from here and they are 6,000 kilometers from Ghana, but MTN Ghana is cheaper than MTN South Africa? You tell me, how did we get it wrong?
Well, the IT expert is right there, Sipho. Explain the cost breakdown. How do we justify the disparity?
Look, I agree with the gentleman as well. And in terms of data at this day and age, it's actually like your water and lights. It's very important that everyone actually has cheap, affordable data. From the side of the operators, on their side, what we really need to keep in mind is the return on investment. So they do put quite a lot of money into the infrastructure that they actually build, and they need to get that money back. Now, with the trends that have come up, where we have social media like your Instagram, which are very data hungry, we also have WhatsApp calls and Facebook calls, you're starting to see that the lion's share of how they were getting their money via your normal calls is actually dropping, where now people are using data and then they can actually call on it. So really, it's if I put it plain and simple, it's a return on investment. But I do think that the vision that the Department of Communications, which has for 2030, to actually drop that amount and get it to international standards, where people should be spending 5% of their income instead of what we currently are spending, which is 24%, 24.7% of income for data, and that is quite a lot.
Wow, 24% as opposed to it being 4% of your income to data.
Correct, and this is according to research which was conducted by Research ICT Africa, where they actually had an article on Fin24, where this was being discussed as in when the prices actually will go down.
Okay, let's get a caller. Grace, thanks so much for your patience. What is your view or question?
So the thing is, it's amazing because today I went to one of the Vodacom shop in the northern suburb, and that's where I got my contract. And last month I paid 2,000 rands, and when I queried, they said it's because of data. And my forthcoming bill is going to be 3,000 rands. So I just told them I'm not paying it. My daughter has I got her contract, the data contract for her iPad so that she can do school research. She literally worked on it for like 3 hours and she ran out of data.
My goodness,
so
Grace.
I don't understand what's going on. I think it's such a disgrace because right now I've got an iPhone, the latest. I can't use it. I switch off my data because I don't want to be paying more on the bill. My daughter is unable to do research on her iPad. So how do you even explain that?
All right, hopefully we'll get some solution or empower you, Grace, going forward. We do have another caller, but before that, Thabo Shingane is a senior or SRC president at the University of Pretoria. Thabo, thanks so much for joining us as well. For those that might think this is a luxury that the country very poorly needs, what is your response? All right, Tabo's not there. Touch, I'll give you the responses.
There's another Tabo here. There's another Tabo. Here's my what concerns me most. There are exciting programs around e-learning that government is rolling out, and phenomenally well. I applaud the government for doing such. And one of the pioneers in that space is our MEC of Education, Bayanza Lesufi. The programs are, to me, so effective to expose young people from high school level to that type of infrastructure. But then again, what is the common thread? How do you access or how do we navigate around e-learning? It's issue of data. So you have an amazing product, but the mechanics are so expensive. At some point, we need to consolidate that space. If networks could reduce the issue of value and look for volume, you can still make your profit. If you increase your volume, look in absorbing more people at a lesser value, I think there'll still be profits. Right now, the value is so excruciating because there aren't too many players. Ghana has half the population of South Africa, but there are more network services than you find in SA. Hence, the price is lower. If we were to entertain or welcome new players in the scene, I think the competition will be more healthier to afford customers the option to choose who's giving us a better deal. Right now, there's this nice monopoly because somewhere in the Department of Communication, there is this lawsuit against ICASA, which I find it quite appalling that a Section 9 organization is being sued by a government. And I still look forward to meeting Mama Faith and have this conversation to say, can the battle not hurt me on a grassroots level? You resolved your issues, but please, something has to happen as of yesterday. Because my nanny wakes up in the morning, she wants to say good morning to her son in Klebsdorp over FaceTime. She can't afford it. Before bread and milk, today data is in your Maslow hierarchy of needs is as equivalent to food, shelter, and clothing.
Totally, very compelling point. I believe we've got the other Thabo back just to give us the dependence that particularly students in 2016 have on data, Thabo. If we were to make it a national imperative as other basic amenities, what would you say? Thabo?
Oh, hi.
Yes, no, I was just saying if you were to give us a sense as to how much students depend on data in this day and age.
I think the question of data is a very fundamental question because it speaks to the broader societal disparities that students have to face on a daily basis. Data, I mean, as a student myself, sorry, I rely on data too much for assignments, for online courses. You don't understand necessarily what's happening in the lecture. Perhaps a bit too complex. You'd have to then rely on other explanations, be it YouTube videos, be it other forms of online material which is accessible to students. But the question is it really accessible when data costs so much? If you're staying in an area where there is no Wi-Fi, you're staying in the outskirts of suburban areas, what does that mean for a particular student? You begin to struggle to do your assignments. Your online tests that need to be done from the comfort of your own home become a problem for students that have to submit and don't have access to particular materials. So you find a situation where students begin to fail, not because the work is not done, but because they don't have access to information due to the exorbitant prices of data. And to speak of it as a profit is misleading. I think it's exploitation at its highest order.
Okay, there's a caller quickly, Kerry in Hermanus. Thanks so much for calling, and what's your view or question?
Hello, good evening. I think your program is very interesting. As a pensioner, I think the data costs are exorbitant. As some of your interviewers were saying, that they no sooner buy data and it's gone into thin air. It's ridiculous, and I've got family all over the world, and you need to keep in contact, and this is becoming quite expensive. We live on a pension, and that's no joke.
Thanks so much, Kerry, for your view. As the oligopoly that Touch was talking about, the problem is that there isn't enough players, and this scenario is not likely to change overnight. So right. Maybe just to, clarity begets harmony. If at least you understand what you're being billed for, as Grace was saying, it will come in at one amount, and then it's different for the next amount. We'll have Sipho explain that.
Look, again, when it comes to the providers, and as I said, I fully agree that the costs are very expensive. The pricing model and the changing of one person paying 100 Rand and the next thing they're being charged 2,000 Rand is really ridiculous. It's not really clear exactly why this is actually happening. Obviously, by that time, the person's already frustrated and they've already got the bill, and you can never really go back and be able to...
Because you don't understand the jargon, the terminology of how these things are structured in the first place.
Exactly. And I do, however, my feel and my thought is that the operators actually do need to now come back and remember that these are the consumers that we're dealing with. And the consumers are right. And they do actually need more data for less the price. Look, it's possible. However, as I said, there is this return, on investment, which we all fully agree with. However, I do know that if they came together, if the operators actually start coming together and the department steps in and says, okay, guys, let's regulate this, it will actually come right. Because if I buy a gig of data for 100, 200 bucks, and then someone has a phone where they're being told that now their bill has gone from 300 Rand a month to 2,000 Rand a month.
But can you question that? Can you go to the competition or rather the Customer Act? There's the National Credit Regulator, all those kind of bodies. Are consumers, are you saying, are vulnerable, that there isn't adequate protection?
They are vulnerable. Otherwise, these things would be cleared up, and we wouldn't actually see them coming up.
Okay, Touch. Where to? I mean, what? Yeah.
To me, I applaud the democracy and the government that is leading us today, because this campaign kicked off on Wednesday. Yesterday, I received a call from Parliament Communications Committee. Today, I received a formal invitation where we've been asked to come with a 20-minute presentation to Parliament on Wednesday. So I'll be going down with a respective team of group of people who are part of this. It's not about Thibaut Touch. We all feel this pain. And I'm excited to live in an era where we are able to change policies based on a viral campaign. That, to me, South Africa is championing the space of democracy. Yes, I believe after Wednesday there'll be a solution, because we don't want to make noise without a direction. This type of cause has to be structured well, and the networks have not responded yet. They're talking amongst themselves. There's no way. It's inevitable for you not to come up with any form of response. But we're giving them 28 days to go, 30 days counted from Wednesday, and don't think we're sitting here without alternative means. We are mounting an alternative operation, and it will be executed if government is willing to come on board.
Okay. Nedi, thanks for holding. Thanks so much for your call. What's your question of you?
Not off, but down.
Yeah, no, we're listening to you.
Hi.
Hi. Nedi?
Hi, I'm here.
Yes, no, we're listening. What's your comment or question?
I wanted to comment on the datamustfall.
Yes, we're listening.
No, I just wanted to actually share an experience I had with Vodacom about last year, 2015.
Briefly.
Basically, I had 120 bucks of airtime, And within a minute, I lost that airtime. And when I phoned the call center, they basically just didn't know what happened. And when I went into more asking questions, they basically just could not answer me in terms of how did my airtime go from 120 to 0, back to 120, and then back to 0 within a minute. So I just basically wanted to share
so
the story.
you'll be joining hashtag datamustfall in support and solidarity of changing the status quo.
Yes.
Excellent.
His 150 disappeared, but somebody will get 5 years for stealing 100 rands. Correct. It's a criminal. It constitutes, to me, it's a crime.
Justice.
It's a serious felony.
Yeah. Okay.
So I actually wanted to say something to that. Like with my background as a Baha'i, I believe in the spiritual principle of justice and fairness. So as Sipo was talking about, in terms of the return on investment, I think return on investment is not gained overnight. And I'm sure the same companies in Ghana, the same companies in all other places in Africa also need to really make returns on investment.
Yes.
But I think, how do you do it? So that, yes, you're providing services, but it shouldn't be at the expense of the people. Your initial cost is something that is actually taken over time.
Yeah.
So I actually think that the reason why, and also the greatest barrier, to really having internet across board, the whole of Africa, even the whole of South Africa, is actually for the very reason, the data cost.
Yeah.
Data cost is so expensive in South Africa. And actually, talking to in terms of the students and all that, I feel that, we don't have to really open up everything. Of course, students will want to go to other videos that are actually not allowed and all that. But I think sites like, how do you call it, Wikipedia. Wikipedia is just a text site. It's actually not going to cost the service providers anything. So these are things that they can really implement. Students can do their homework, they can do all their researches from there.
Yeah, I think it's a pristine time as well to remind government of the closing the digital divide when it was still under the late Ivy Matsipe Kasaburi, where these were identified as almost the human rights violation of not having access primarily for the black child, that hopefully this thing will be done expediently as opposed to longer.
I look forward to seeing municipalities expanding the same thing that happening in Tshwane to give free Wi-Fi in the cities. But we never asked for free data. We asked for data cost to be lowered. And if it could be make it in favor of students, then we'll say, you know what, government, you're preaching something that is truly transforming the nation, because to give people access to infrastructure but make it expensive to access it is dangling the carrot.
Wow. So are you saying that the operators are delinquent?
No, not at all. Operators love this conversation. You know how much exposure, they've got free PR over the past 3 days. They're enjoying themselves. This is free marketing for them, but it's going to hurt later if there's an element of arrogance. One refuses to engage. And, we're hoping that there's amicable way to resolve this. We are not out here trying to march to any network's head office. I don't have time for that. That's why we're off to Parliament. We got to change policies. We got to have the right key players in the room and make a change. I run a station that depends highly on the network's advertising to keep it afloat. There's 3 deals currently sitting with one of the networks of 7-figure deals. And I'm very much aware this could bring a couple of those deals to a halt. But the truth of the matter is, we lose the battle but win the war. Victory over data must fall is for victory in a student in KwaMashu who could not make it to UKZN campus today because petrol was expensive, or probably it's not that time of the month where there's money to go to school. But they didn't miss out. Access to information, like my brother said, with text. There are a lot of text sites. Amazon has textbooks online for free.
Wow, and we're missing out on all of that. But how likely are with the pressure, notwithstanding, of course, what Parliament will say, how likely are we to see the reduction of data in this country, considering things have been going on merrily for so long?
Okay. Look, from the market research, it's actually saying that we're not going to be seeing any reduction. However, I do feel that from this campaign, which Brother Thabo has actually started, Now we really need to actually pay attention. There's other innovative ways, as Eddie has said, where some sites can be allowed, where, for example, they don't pay, you don't have to use data because they're text-based. They're your Wikipedia, they're your Amazon. So let's just firstly start there. Let's start choosing sites, educational sites, allow them to be free, you know. Let's have some presence and make sure that at least the youth and the students are able to access that. And then we start, again, looking at the costs, again, you know, because it's a lot.
We're not sending messages of threat whatsoever, but it's a festive season. Every network has an amazing campaign, asking young people to engage and be part of whatever campaign for the festive season. These exciting new programs, right? And there are many events that are being headed by these networks. I'm saying to you, if you're not respecting our cry, we will not subscribe to any of your exciting campaigns. We will not even attend any of your events. There's ways that we'll get their attention.
Yeah.
And it starts with the pockets.
Correct. There's many buts and excuses, and the networks could say we're already investing so much on corporate social investment. We're already sending so many school students on our bursary schemes. We're supporting rugby and all sorts of other social activities.
Yeah, right.
And therefore...
Yeah, right. Excuse me. If you can have these happy hours, opening voice calls in the evening between 9 and midnight. Let me ask you something. A 23-year-old entrepreneur who wants to send his assignment or his proposal to Investec or to FNB cannot communicate with a marketing manager between those times, and neither can you send that proposal via a voice call. We don't need, so keep your calls. Don't give us that free voice, whatever. I don't know what time it is because I don't subscribe to such. But if networks can afford to give hours of free calls, just how about you realize that data usage now exceeds voice calls? Change the game, give us access to free data. The investment that you are losing with those calls when you open up free calls, keep those calls closed. We don't need them. Nobody of significance talk between 9 and midnight. I cannot talk to you about my future business unless I have a close relationship with you. So give that young 23-year-old the opportunity to send their proposals, to communicate with corporates. Those hours, we need them during business working hours.
All right, so what does the general South African public do in the meantime while you make your presentation in Pali?
Joining the movement. It's not about touch, it's about the whole of South Africa. And you know, one thing I love about this country is we know how to unite against a common cause. You know, you might not like touch, it's not about him, it's bigger than touch. And South Africa, we are one nation. When we identify a cause that changes lives of people, we unite regardless of our differences. I'm working with Gareth Cliff. We changing the lives of people. We employed young people in Touch Central. And this is, again, you know, the social coalition, that everyone in this country, we identify each other based on great ideas before our skin. And this cause is for every citizen of this country.
We're certainly on your coattail behind you. We know everything you touch does materialize. And as
you didn't nominate me this year for Entrepreneur of the Year when I made the biggest deal in broadcasting. I don't understand, but I'm not mad at you.
But we don't want to be seen as not being inclusive of others, you know, lest we called names. But thanks so much. We certainly will be watching this very closely.
Thank you.
Really, really appreciated your time. We had Eddie Bafor, founder of Sabrainy Holdings.itc, and Thibaut Touch, founder of #datamustfall, and owner of Touch Central. You do so much.
I'll bring you my bottle of wine next time.
Bottle of wine, astute
Are you wearing my perfume right now? Are you wearing Touch perfume?
Exactly.
Okay.
So we'll certainly profile that as well. Sipongwenya's IT engineer, Internet Solutions. Thanks so much. And to you at home, we really appreciate your support and calling in as well. We'll take a quick ad break. We'll see you shortly.